Okay. I want to ask you a couple of bigger picture questions here towards the back end about the industry and so forth. By the way, for the listeners, SafeTiva.com, SafeTiva.com. And you can also connect with Megan on LinkedIn. I'm guessing she takes connections. I don't know. Do you?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I love
Megan Dobro on LinkedIn. Um, the cannabis industry. So coincidentally, I got a call from a buddy of mine. You may even know him. I'm not going to mention his name on the podcast here, but him and a couple of friends, they tried to make it in cannabis in Massachusetts, and he called me yesterday and just said, "Holy shit, bro!" He's like, "I have been through the roller coaster," and he gave me all the nightmares, investors, and the lawsuits, and the this and the leases, and just all kinds of crap.
yeah.
And he's talking to me the margins, the taxes, the regulations, and he just spent 45 minutes he was just beat to hell. I could just tell he's just like, man, I can't do this anymore. In fact, he was calling me to say, I'm shutting this down. Can you find me a job in Colorado? Because Riderflex is a recruiting firm, right? That's our day job. So he's calling me saying, hey, I think I'm out. And he was just telling me that in his words, I don't know if this is true because I'm not an expert on it, but he was like, man, the Massachusetts cannabis market there are so many people suffering right now, and it's not doing well. What are your thoughts on that? Is that true? What's your outlook? Give me some thoughts.
It is true. It's very difficult. This is going to be a hard year for our Massachusetts industry. I think many businesses are going to close.
Mm,
My sincere hope is it sounds like it's not the case with your friend, but I'm hoping that it's that the local small craft grows, people who are really passionate about what they do it because they love the plant and they believe in its medicine, and people who are really integrated in the Massachusetts community are the businesses that make it.
okay.
Um, but it's really not an easy time for anybody right now.
Because of oversaturation, too many licenses, too many growers, the taxes are too high, 280E, all combined. What
Yeah,
is
all of the above. I think this year in particular is going to be hard because the market is saturated. There hasn't been a cap on licenses, and we've reached the plateau period where we've reached the point that I don't think that there's market to take any more than what is currently in dispensaries.
mm,
But then there are all these other complicating factors that make all cannabis business owners feel like they're beat to a pulp. And it's not just that it's hard to sell product right now, or that margins are tight. It's that there are regulations that don't make sense. There are
mm,
people in this industry who have no business being in this industry. People who just don't know what they're doing. They don't pay their bills. It really attracted people who thought that they were going to make millions very easily, and not ultimately they just cut a lot of corners.
mm.
um, it's a totally new thing. I think the Cannabis Control Commission in Massachusetts has a really hard job. We created a massive industry from nothing. I shouldn't say nothing because obviously the legacy cannabis growers have been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
But in terms of a regulatory legal market, it was created overnight, and then we all suddenly had to adhere to these rules that weren't, from a science perspective, they weren't written by scientists. So
Yeah.
it can be really, really frustrating.
I can't imagine, the legacy growers, right? So for the last whatever 25 years, they're growing it illegally. So I guess technically some of them are criminals. I hate to say that, but they're growing it. Life's good. The sales are good. And then all of a sudden it gets passed and they're like, okay, so now I have to pay tax on, they have to pay tax on gross profit, not net income, right? So you got to pay tax on gross profit, I think is the way it works.
Yeah.
And isn't there some other percentage of revenue off the top or something? There's all these crazy fees.
There
And
there are there are taxes up the wazoo. There are fees. There
mm,
you have to pay a percentage to your host community, so the town that you're
that's what
operating in. You
that's
have
what
to
it was.
pay, for
Wow.
most people it's 3%. It's that's added onto everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Tough times. I was in Oklahoma visiting my mother about 6 months ago. I'm from a small town southwest of Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma made the same mistake. No cap on licenses or whatever. The town I grew up in, Megan, I shit you not, is about 18,000 people. How many cannabis shops do you think they have? Just take a guess. 18,000
Oklahoma,
people. 18,000 people. Just take a guess.
15.
30. I'm,
There's,
I'm
there
driving
are
to,
3 on every corner.
it's ridiculous. I drove through town. I get out. My mom lives that kind of out in the country a little bit. And I get out to my mom's. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I was like, 80% of these people are going to be out of business in the next 12 months.
Yeah, it's really setting everyone up to fail. It's creating a cutthroat market, and it doesn't incentivize ethical
That
business
right.
models.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I think that's why it's so frustrating, is for those of us who came to cannabis with a very professional mindset and background and
Yes.
integrity.
Mhm.
We're seeing our competitors doing crazy things
Yes.
and with no consequence. Uh,
Because they're out of cash, they're fully leveraged, and they're like, fuck it. I'm just gonna take some risks. I don't care.
yeah,
Right? That's
they're
what's happening.
desperate. Yeah.
They're desperate. They're desperate. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of them used to be former criminals, so they don't care. They'll take risks.
It's true. The risk thing is in this industry, there's a lot of fuck it, I'll take the risk.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. Oh my
And
gosh.
I just want to add that I think what's going to be our saving grace is in Massachusetts, there's a lot of emphasis on local communities. And
Okay.
so for
Okay.
the businesses that lift each other up and network and be create allyships and really work to lift each other up, I think are is how we're all going to survive this.
Okay.
And we know who the good operators are.